Hello everyone, I hope you're having a fantastic day. I'm so excited to be part of the Spellbinders blog hop. They are featuring two brand new collections from Special Moments and also from Inked Messages. And today I get to share with you 3 projects I'm making with the Special Moments dies. Now, Spellbinders is having a blog hop, and there's a lot of inspiration out there, and I encourage you to check it out. But these are the 3 dies that I get to play with today. This one here is called the Floral Lace Border. It's beautiful 3-piece die set. Now, it has a single, I'm going to call it a flower because it's beautiful, but it'll fit that border beautifully. And I have here a A2 size panel, and it's going to fit your card making perfectly. And so this is going to be fun to play with. Like I said, that's the Floral Lace Border. Now next, I want to share with you the Happy Birthday with Numbers die set. Now this is so fun. I love the sentiment that says Happy Birthday in a circular element. And it also has numbers where you can customize your birthday card, which is wonderful. And then for the 3rd project today, I'm going to be using this die set. This is the flower background. It's a 2-piece die set. And the background is a full A2 size background. It's great for your card bases. So we're going to jump in and get started with our first project. We're going to do some ink smishing, so I grabbed some distressed oxide inks. This here is Tumbled Glass, and then I'm also going to grab some Stormy Sky. I'm just adding them to my glass mat. That's the best thing about the glass mat is there's the cleanup. But I'm going to spray some water on there, and then I'm going to grab some C&CT watercolor cardstock. And I love these 2 colors together. I wanted to create a real soft background, so I thought those 2 colors blended well. I'm just using my heat gun to speed up the drying process, and then any extra water left over I'm just going to dab off with my towel. Okay, now I have a panel here. This panel is 4 1/4 by 5.5 inches, and I just added a piece of double-sided sticky tape behind it. This is nice because the detail in the background die is well, like I said, detailed, so the sticky tape is going to help when I adhere it down to my panel. So I'm going to take both dies, cut out my background and also my detail die here. I'm just going to run it through my Platinum 6. Now once we have that done, I'm going to carefully remove the detail die from my panel, but I'm going to keep the little pieces. I'm actually going to do some inlaying. Not with the entire panel, but just with a few of the flowers. So using my 3-in-1 tool, I'm going to punch out the very bottom flower, 2 from the middle, and then 2 at the very top. Now, after I get that done, I'm going to remove the release paper, and then I'll place that on my my ink smushed background panel. Now while I'm doing this, I want to talk to you a little bit about a giveaway. Now Spellbinders is giving away a $50 gift certificate to 1 lucky winner. So if you're interested, details for that are over at the Spellbinders blog. And then along with that, also on my blog, I'm going to be giving away a $25 gift certificate to 1 lucky winner, and details for that will be over there on my blog, so make sure you read those and check that out. But all the links for the products I used today will be in the description area below if you want to check it out, along with the Spellbinders blog and my blog. But I already removed the release paper off of my floral pattern, and I placed that on my background panel. Now, I know my flowers have release paper on them, but I thought it would be a little bit tedious to remove all that release paper, and glue is so much easier. So I'm just adding glue to the flower petals of the flowers that I want to do the inlay with, and then I'll just carefully inlay each one of those petals. And this, believe it or not, adds a little bit of depth to my flowers too, and I like that. This is kind of very fun and relaxing to do. I like doing this. Okay, I have all my flowers inlaid. Now next, I'm going to be doing a little bit of coloring. Now I want to add some color to my petals, and I thought the easiest way would be to use my Copic markers. So this is Y00. It's a very pretty, the pale gray, or pale yellow. not gray, yellow. I thought yellows and blues look really pretty together. So I'm just going to go add a little bit of color from the centers blending out on each of those petals. And then to add just a little bit of a color variant, I'm going to grab my yellow 13 Copic marker and then add a little bit of shading, basically at the very center of my flower petals. Okay, I think that looks so pretty. I just love blues and yellows together. I think they're fantastic color combo. Okay, I'm going to take my tape runner and we're going to go ahead and adhere this to an A2 size card base. My card base is going to be a side folding card base. Just going to use my bone folder to crease my score line there. I'm going to add my panel. Now I already had stamped my sentiment. I thought Thanks a Bunch would go pretty with this card. I just heat embossed it with white embossing powder on a piece of black cardstock, and I blocked it off and popped it up with some foam tape and placed that towards the top of my panel. For some bells and whistles, I'm going to go in with some buttercream jewels to add a little bit of sparkle. And that finishes off my first project. When you have such a detailed and intricate die like this, I think it kind of speaks for itself. So this was fairly simple, but I thought the outcome turned out real beautiful. Here's some close-up pictures. Now for my second project, I'm going to use, again, my tumbled glass Distress Oxide ink, and I have some Bristol Smooth cardstock here. I'm just shading in the right side, and then for the left side, I'm going to just go ahead and grab the Stormy Sky. They were on my desk, and I thought it'd be perfect blending here. Now for this one, I'm going to go all the way to the edge because I'm going to actually use the darker shaded area for my card base. Now for this card, I'm going to be using the Floral Lace Border die set, and I'm going to cut out 2 borders here. And then you can see here I trimmed down that center piece. Okay, I'm going to grab my card base and we're going to go ahead and adhere this towards the bottom of our card base. Just using my tape runner. Any excess I'm going to trim off. Now this border die here was pretty intricate, so I thought the best way for me to glue this down, instead of taking the time to go in with some glue, is just to use my tape runner. And then when I use my fingers and kind of press it out, I'll remove those little bits and pieces from the open area. I'm going to do the same thing with the top portion. I'm going to adhere that to the very top of my distressed strip there. Lovely. I think that looks so pretty. Now any excess overhanging I'm going to trim off. Now for my sentiment, I grabbed a Spellbinders die from my stash and also a butterfly. Now I'm going to die cut those out, including a piece of white cardstock, the word thanks, and then also the gold butterfly. Now I thought it'd be fun to add a little bit of gold to my sentiment. So I'm going to glue my white thanks to my gold thanks, but I'm just going to let it overhang a bit. So just the bottom portion has that gold accent, and I think that looks so pretty, and it really makes it stand out. Now I wanted to add something to this card, just a little extra. And so in my stash I have some very thin gold wire. I'm just going to grab a few loops of it and I'll trim it off with my scissors, and then using a glue dot I'm going to glue just one side of those loops together, and then I'll secure that to my card base. I just basically take a glue dot and I fold it in half around each of those loops. You can see here I'm kind of fussing with my layout, how I want it how I want it to go. But once I add my glue dot, I'll stick that down to my card base. And then I went ahead and glued down my sentiment. Kind of overlap them just a little bit. And then I will add some glue behind my butterfly and add that right above my glue dot, hiding that glue dot I used to secure my wire. Okay, now for bells and whistles, I'm going to take some more of my little buttercream jewels here, and I added 3 to the center of the butterfly, and then I scattered just a couple around the top portion of my card. And then that finishes off my second project using the Floral Lace Border die set. Very elegant card. I really like the way this turned out. Okay, now for my final project today, we get to use the Happy Birthday with Numbers die set. And so I wanted to create a background. So I'm going to be using, this here is Stormy Sky. It's a Distress Oxide ink. This here again is the Tumbled Glass. And then I wanted to bring in a little bit of yellow. So I chose some Squeezed Lemonade. And I'm just doing a little bit of blending in a diagonal, kind of like a rainbow kind of effect. Once we have that done, I'm going to add some water droplets. I'm going to use my towel to dab off any excess. And then we're ready to go for our background panel. Now I want to use the number dies. Now I didn't want to customize my card because I like having cards that are handy. And so I decided to take the numbers and die cut out 3 sets of them. And I thought it would be with white cardstock. I thought it'd be fun to create a little background panel with them. So I'm just going to scatter them all around my background panel. And then using my glue, I'm going to secure each one of those numbers to my background panel. This is going to create a real fun effect, and it's actually going to give a little bit of dimension too. Later on I ended up using my tweezers for each one of them. It was a lot easier. Okay, once we have all that done, I'm going to take my scissors and trim off any numbers that are overhanging. And you'll notice in the center, I didn't worry about adding numbers to that part because we're going to be covering that up with our sentiment. For this card, we're going to make a shaker card, so I thought we would do something a little bit different. This is the circle die that came with the Happy Birthday and Numbers die set. I went ahead and die cut out my Happy Birthday. I actually die cut it out 3 times. I layered 2 of them together already. And then I also created a donut with some black cardstock. I really wanted my sentiment to pop a little bit, so this is going to be perfect size to add my sentiment to. I'm just going to use my glue and layer my 3rd piece. When you layer 3 of them together, it not only creates dimension, but it creates like a chipboard effect. And I like the way this turned out. Okay, now I want to add a little bit of color to this. So I'm going to grab my, I actually took there's a circle die that cuts out the center of the Happy Birthday sentiment. I actually used that on my background panel and cut out a circle there. Now I'm taking the blending tool that I used for my Squeezed Lemonade and going around the edges, and then with the center I'm going to use my Tumbled Glass blending tool. Just whatever's left over on there. There's still a lot of ink on there. Okay, now this is where I was debating whether to make a shaker card or not, and I thought, well, we'll just go for it. So I'm going to go ahead and adhere my Happy Birthday to my black donut there. Okay. Next I'm going to add a little bit of glue, and then I'm also going to grab a piece of acetate. I'm just going to trim it down so it fits behind that circle. Lovely. Okay, now I added some foam tape behind here. This is just one layer right now. I ended up adding another layer later on. But I'm going to take my card base. This is a standard A2 size card base. And I'm going to actually draw a circle outline with my pencil where that circle is going to be on my panel. Next I'm going to take that circle die, and then I am going to die cut out a circle directly on my card base. I wanted my shaker to be kind of like a see-through window, and so once we have that die cut, lovely. I'm going to go ahead and add a piece of acetate right on top. Just going to trim it down so it fits there. Now I'm going to use my tape runner and adhere my background panel. Just lining up those circles so they match up perfectly. This way when I open my card I have it's a see-through window, and I thought that'd be real fun to do. I did get a little bit of glue on my little numbers, so I'm just using my eraser to take those off. Now to fill my shaker, I have some iridescent star sequins. I'm just going to add to my shaker window, my window there, and I also wanted to add some clear confetti mix sequins. Now I went ahead and added in one more layer of foam tape, and then I just placed that right on the center of my circle, lining all of them up together, and that's my little shaker. That actually finishes off card number 3. Very simple and easy, but I love that happy birthday. I think it's so versatile. But here's some close-ups. I want to thank you so much for joining me today. Here's a look at the 3 cards I made today with the Special Moments Marissa Job collection. And again, there's lots of inspiration out there. I encourage you to go hopping along. Links will be below again as well. But thanks so much for joining me, guys. I wish you a fantastic day, and we will see you again soon. Bye-bye.